Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today, we're not playing with one eyeshadow palette, we're playing with two. I picked up the Melt Cosmetics Gemini and Gemini II palette. Gemini has been out for a second, but Gemini II was released just, I think, last month. And I picked up both of them because I didn't have either in my collection, and I found Melt Cosmetics last year, and so far I like the eyeshadow palettes that I've picked up. Now, we did play around, compare them, swatch the shimmers because those are the favorite eyeshadows that I enjoy, but we're gonna figure out together. Do you need them? Do you want them? Are they worth it? But you guys, if you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below, hit the bell for notifications of new videos, and if you like this video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up. But you guys, if you wanna see how I got this look using both of the Gemini and Gemini II palettes, just keep watching. Okay, so I only found Melt Cosmetics last year, I think it was, and they released the Gemini II palette, which of course I had to pick up. First off, this packaging is really pretty. I love the roses. My grandmother's favorite flower is rose, and I feel like this package has such a beautiful aesthetic. This actually has like the metallic edges to kind of define it a little bit. So I do like that, and then on the back it also has more of that. Now I did also pick up the original Gemini palette, which I had never had before, and looking at the color story, this is the original. It's more olives and tans, and I really like this color story. I feel like I could do a lot of this for work, except for like the shimmer shades. They're not light enough. I don't really go that dark or bold for work just because I have to keep it pretty neutral. But I feel like these are colors that I would gravitate towards. Now, the Gemini II palette, when I first saw this, I wasn't sure I needed it, but I do like this color story as well. You have some of the more neutral shades into the really pretty reds, and then you get more into the olive shades, which makes it cohesive with the original Gemini palette. When I first got this, and mind you, I'd only seen it online, I didn't realize that there's really no shimmers in here. So looking in this palette, most of it is mattes, and then this green shade right here, Matteo, and then Schmood. Those seem to be the only shimmers or satins in here. This is the newer palette, so I would have thought that there might be some of the shimmer shades, whereas the Gemini has two shimmer shades. This one's definitely a shimmer, and I would definitely gravitate towards that. I kind of want to play around with it today. And then this one right here, which is Goals. So those two are really pretty. I'm going to swatch both of them. I do want to kind of compare what I consider to be shimmer or like suede shades, if that makes sense. But I also want to see what I can do, I think, using just the Gemini II and maybe tossing in some of Gemini in case you own both of the palettes. Okay, so first swatching Gemini II. This first shade, which is kind of like a smooth velvety shade, this is Schmood. And it's kind of that coppery brown. Then you have this really luscious like olive green, and this one is Matteo. Matteo? I'm not really sure. I think it's Matteo. But those are in Gemini II. Now, dipping into the original Gemini palette, this shade right here, this gold one, is Gemini, and that is such a beautiful shimmer. I think actually these two right here would be beautiful together in a look. And then this really pretty lime green is Goals. So these two right here are from Gemini, and then these two are from Gemini II. I feel like they would play well together. Now, before I jump into this eye look, I was asked a question on Instagram, and it took me a second because I didn't realize I had this request. It ended up in, I didn't realize that your message inbox for Instagram also had a request bin. I don't go there that often, but this was from Lita, and she asked me to compare the size of the palettes of the Gemini with the Laura Lee Nudie Patootie. And she's right. They are quite a big difference. So this matched up with Nudie Patootie. There is a little bit more of a size on this. I hope this really helps. I know when you're playing around with makeup or you're traveling, sometimes the size of the palette makes a difference, because if you're only trying to grab one palette, you're looking at how much room is it going to take up, what color story does it have a variety, how does it blend. There's so many things that you take into consideration if you're only picking one or two. So I feel like it is a little bit bigger. The width of it, or the depth of it, isn't too bad, but I feel like the Gemini palette is considerably smaller from the Nudie Patootie. I'm not upset at that, because I do like the color story of the Nudie Patootie, which is stunning. If you haven't picked this up, definitely go and get it. This and the other Nudie Patootie 2, amazing. Okay, before I dive in, I want to show you guys these palettes together. So I'm actually looking at playing with the Gemini 2 just because I like the mauve-y red shades on here, and then maybe dipping into the original Gemini palette for this gold shade. But this is Gemini 2, and I think that they work well together. So this is the palette I'm going to stick with, and then accent with the original Gemini. So I think the first shade I want to go into is this shade right here, Sweetheart, which is that really pretty mauve-y pink that I gravitate towards. I'm going to dip in ever so slightly. I don't know how concentrated or pigmented it is. And I'm going to put this straight into the crease, just as my first shade. I do like the pressings on the eyeshadow palette. It has little rose pressings on them. Okay, so a slight dip and I get a pretty decent color payoff. We're going to dip in a little bit more and just kind of work our way into the crease, build it up a little bit. I do think this is going to be a little bit darker, which I'm not mad at. Sometimes it's fun to have bold, dark colors. But I do want to focus on the pinks and reds because they are so beautiful and luscious. Okay, I think that's a good build so far. I do want to take it into the outer V just right here, so that when I add in the other shades, it kind of gives that like essence of color, if that makes sense. Now I'm gonna go into the shade Lovesick, which is just a little bit darker, but I'm gonna take it on a fluffy brush, so it will actually mute the color down a little bit. I don't want it super concentrated, just because it is a darker shade. I am gonna place it right here in the outer V, and then right below that shade Sweetheart, and then I will go and sweep it once I place it where I want it. So we're just gonna build our colors. Now I'm gonna go into the shade, I think it's LX Queen, which is a little bit darker, more of a burgundy than a red. I'm going to place that in the outer V with my compacted smudger brush, which is one of my favorite ways to build color in and saturate it. But I'm going to come a little bit more forward on this one just because I want it to be darker, more towards the middle. So when I put down that gold shade from the original Gemini palette, it has something to play around with as it fades out. Ooh, that's pretty. And this one, I'm not gonna take it and pack it on the outside because I want it to fade into that red. And I just want those reds to be able to pull through the dark burgundy brown shade. Kind of like a watercolor, not too saturated, but just peeking through, and you get that red hue coming through it. And I'll probably go back in with some of those pinker shades on the edge just to kind of blend them together, marry them, and make them cohesive. But I like how this still like played to the muted shades that I was trying to keep. I'm just gonna pack it up a little bit more right here. Now I'm gonna dip into the shade Gemini, which is such a beautiful gold shade. I'm gonna take that on my ring finger. It's so buttery smooth, you guys. I only picked up a little bit to start out with. I just wanna place it right here in the middle and bring it forward and just build. Ooh. I did pick up a little dry brush ever so slightly. I wanna see if I can pick this up and just kind of finesse it towards the edges. I really like that. And even though it kind of like muted out towards the end with the brush, I really like it because I don't have to put this dark shade on top of it, which can sometimes muddy the color. I'm gonna go back into the shade Sweetheart and just on the fluffy crease brush, pick it up ever so slightly and just on this outer edge right here, add some of that pink back in. I think we're gonna play with some of those greens underneath the eye, which I did with the Bridgerton Part 2 eyeshadow palette. So I wanted to play around with that some more because I was actually really surprised. Okay, this look is a lot of fun. Now, we gotta finish off the under eye, and I'm looking at the greens, and they are beautiful. So I'm actually looking at this shade Almond Eyes for all the way underneath, and then this one for Boy Mum. So I think that's what we're gonna do. All right, so Almond Eyes is more of that like olive shade. I dipped in twice. I'm going to place it under and see what it looks like before I blend it all the way out. Okay, so it's fairly light. Let's pick up some more of it. This is one of those shades that even though you dip in, you can build it up. It's not too like bold when you go in right away, but it is nice that you get a little bit of color payoff, but it's not super concentrated to the point that you're like, man, I made a mistake. Because I've definitely done that. It is easier to build up than to go back and fix sometimes. I think that green adds just a little bit more definition. All right, now I'm gonna go into that darker shade, Boy Mum. I'm gonna place it right here and only take it to like the center area, not too far forward. Ooh, I like this. It's kind of like that grungy green. Not too far forward. I'm gonna go into Lovesick a little bit, just right here, and place it back in before I go into LX Queen or Lux Queen and build up that outer V a little bit. I just want to place it right there. And I'm going to take the fluffy brush and just blend. See, just darken it up a little bit, kind of made it more of like that harsh line without actually having to do a harsh line. And then back into Lux Queen. I'm just gonna place that right here. I'm not gonna take it too far forward because I like how the gold looks right now. But I do wanna bring it just on the outer V to kind of smooth those edges a little bit. All right, and then for inner corner highlight and brow bone, I am gonna go into my Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk Multi-Glow in Romance Light. You guys, I have absolutely been reaching for this since my last video where I did like a full face of Charlotte Tilbury. I even just picked up something new from her. I slowly build my collection, not spending a whole ton of it. But I'm just going into these two light shades, which is the white and the champagne. And putting that right here in the inner corner. And then same thing on the brow bone, just to give it that oomph. I feel like now that I've done that, I do want to add a little bit more of, I feel like I want to go and grab Sweetheart and just a little bit right here to kind of define it a smidge. Not too much, just right there. You never know until you're like towards the end and you're just like, ooh, I need to tweak that part. Okay, Let me finish off this eye, eyeliner, mascara, brows, and I'll be right back. Okay, you guys, I'm back, and this is the final look. What do you think? I did, for the lips, go ahead and use my Huda Beauty Lip Contour 2.0. This is in the shade Muted Pink. And then the Merit Super Nature Lip in Baby. This shade is stunning. This is one of the 4 shades that I picked out, and I love this color. I think it goes well with this eye look because it's a little more neutral. Anyways, you guys, this eye look, I think it's beautiful. That's my personal opinion. Let me know your thoughts. I'm always interested to know what you guys think. Now, I did go ahead and use both of the Gemini palettes, but I predominantly use the Gemini 2 for everything that is the matte base, and then I only use the shimmer from the Gemini palette. So, do you need both of them? Probably not. I feel like Gemini, I got a lot of beautiful shades out of. These reds and mauves and some of these olive greens just accented beautifully. I am kind of disappointed that there's not like a lighter shade shimmer in here because that's what I gravitate towards. So it's definitely about preference. But I also picked up Gemini at the same time, which gives us our like tan mustard shades and then more of those beautiful greens, and then, you know, obviously a black shade because you need something to smoke it up and deepen it up. So do you need both of them? Probably not, but I figured, well, I purchased them, and I think there was like a bundle package when I purchased it. Don't quote me on that, I can't remember. It's been a second since I picked this up. And that has been the story of my life. I pick up a palette and then I get busy. So these two are beautiful. I do like the formula on this. I've never had a palette from Melt where the formula isn't consistent. I know that there have been YouTubers that I follow and they've talked about a different type of formula, but I didn't encounter that. So I do like how these performed, and they blended well together. So let me know, are you picking these up? Did you already pick them up? Have you been playing around with them? Which one's your favorite? Or are you just not picking them up at all? I'm interested to know. Now, you guys, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. Hit the bell for notifications of new videos. And if you like this video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up. I really appreciate it. And until my next video, you guys, bye. And I'll see you in the next one.